Here we are. It's 222022, or more formally 02022022. And that's pretty amazing. And somewhere in the world, it's probably 20. I was going to say 202, but now it's 205. It's good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. My name's Sarah McLean, and we're going to be meditating together today to continue to observe the Feast for the Soul. I know you know it's based on that Rumi poem, at 40 early mornings. Oh, what 9 months does for a growing embryo, 40 early mornings will do for your growing awareness. And of course, I meditate before I come on here because for those of you meditation teachers out here, meditating is one thing, guiding a meditation is another thing. And so I just wanted to let you know that, remind you of it. I'm sorry again for the misprint on the location of today's session, but 67 of us have made it. After I meditated, before I got on here, I was reading a book I recently got called Sadhanas. Sadhana is really the word for turning your daily meditation practice into a spiritual practice. It's not so much anymore that when you're doing your sadhana that you're just trying to check off a box. When you're doing your meditation, you're trying to check off a box. In fact, what you're doing is you're making it your raison d'etre, really, to be connected to the deepest part of you every single day. And so at some point in your life, I imagine, your meditation practice turned into a spiritual practice. No longer was it so you could focus or get rid of your chronic pain, but it was in fact to connect you to the deepest part of you. Quite often when I finish meditating, I often bow to the love that lives through you as you, and that lives through me as me. That transcendental, all-powerful intelligence that people would call God or spirit. And so I'm always looking for people who talk about that. And I wanted to read this. This is a book called Sadhana, and it's by Swami Vivekananda. And he was one of the very first, I'd have to say, Hindus or Vedantins that came to America as part of the Council of Religions in Chicago in 1893. And he came to a world full of the Judeo-Christian tradition, or Puritans, and he started talking about what we all have in common, and that we don't need to become one religion in order to have peace on this planet. That, in fact, there are many ways up the mountain. But he said here, true religion is entirely transcendental. Every being that is in the universe has the potential of transcending the senses. Even a little worm will one day transcend the senses and reach God. No life will be a failure. There is no such thing as failure in the universe. 100 times man will hurt himself, 1,000 times he will tumble, but in the end, he or she or they will realize that they are God. We know there's no progress in a straight line. Every soul moves, as it were, in a circle, and will have to complete it. And no soul can go on so low, but there will always be a time when it will have to go upwards. No one will be lost. We are all projected from one common center, which is God. The highest as well as the lowest life God ever projected will come back to the God of all lives, from whom all beings are projected, in whom all live, and unto whom they will all return. That is God. So for me, whether you use the word God, universe, love, it's that the love is living through you as you, lives through me as me. And at the end of all of this exploring, we'll come back to it as if for the very first time. So that's where I often like to focus in my meditation, is to cultivate a practice that allows for me to transcend the senses, transcend the elements, transcend the sensory perceptions, transcend my limited sense of life, and have the direct experience of that which is looking through my eyes and looking through your eyes. So today's practice, I thought we could do a couple of practices, as I like to do. The first will be a simple silent mantra practice. And the second practice we'll finish with is James O'Day's soul awakening prayer. And some of you were here last year in the feast and you've heard him on the Mom World. And he's a lovely man who has developed with a few other spiritual leaders this soul awakening prayer, which I'll share with you when we're going through it. But first, I want to talk about transcendence, because that's what Swami Vivekananda was talking about. And he was actually a devotee of Ramakrishna. If anyone knows anything about Ramakrishna, lived in Calcutta, who found God in everything. And God for Ramakrishna was a female and found her in everything, the great goddess. And he was assigned to come here to represent, the transcendent. And what does transcend mean anyway? So that word means to go beyond the limiting ideas of who you are, why you're here, the limiting ideas of your age and your address and your bank account and your numbers and your letters. It means to transcend all the transitory senses and have the direct experience of that everlasting, permanent part of you. My favorite way to transcend is through mantra practice. The word mantra means instrument for the mind. Man is mind and tra is instrument or vehicle. And we've done a number of mantras through the Feast for the Soul. And generally speaking, they take you, like a vehicle would, from a lot of mental activity and concerns with what's going on externally to that island of peace that's inside you. It doesn't really matter what the mantra is. I've mentioned before that I think it was the poet Tennyson who used to just use his own name for a mantra. We've gone through many practices that use just the word one as a mantra. A mantra is not a motto, and it isn't always an affirmation. It's usually something that doesn't generate more thought, that helps you to skip through the mental activity to the thinker of the thought, the one who observes the thought, the one who's looking through your eyes. So there are many experiences you can have in meditation. I'm just going to go over the three main categories. First is movement. You can have a lot of movement of the mind, a lot of physical sensations, and a lot of emotions coming up. That's all normal and natural, kind of like an unraveling of stressors and separateness and undigested experiences. And sometimes you will have a restless meditation, and that's perfectly fine. The second category of experience is that you could fall asleep. And I know some of you do, I do sometimes. It happens to all of us, especially if we're tired. And the third category of experience in any meditation, and it isn't even an experience, is transcending the world around you. And you've maybe heard Deepak Chopra or Wayne Dyer call it getting into the gap or going into the silence. And it feels a little like sleep, but here's the difference. When you're practicing meditation, the mind settles down, the body settles down, and your awareness moves from that one pointedness on a mantra to a more expanded sense of awareness. Now, you're not asleep. You're just not aware of any one thing. So with this practice, it's different than sleep, although it will be similar. A sense of it will be similar because you've lost track of time, space, what I'm saying, where you are. You don't exactly know what's going on, except for you haven't fallen asleep. You're aware, but not aware of any one thing. So whatever experiences you have in meditation, they're all good and good for you, even if you don't even like them. So that's important. It's important to stick with that. So I'm going to invite you to get comfortable and find your comfortable spot where you're sitting. And I really appreciate your dedication to creating more peace on this planet. So closing your eyes if you like, or gazing softly to the ground. Begin to bring mindfulness into your experience, being mindful of the sounds around you. Mindfulness means refraining from judgment, simply being with. Mindful of the body sensations that are here. Tuning into lightness or heaviness, softening your face and your belly. Noticing whatever emotions are present too. Being kind to yourself. Tuning into the breath, making sure it's smooth and slow. And with each breath, invite a sense of acceptance. Not struggling against anything that's happening right now. When thoughts arise in the middle of the practice, your job is to simply refocus your attention. And we'll be inviting a mantra that correlates with the breath, although let it be however it shows up for you. And on the inhale, the mantra is Ma, M-A, Ma. On the exhale, the mantra is Om, O-M, Om. Ma on the inhale and Om on the exhale. Though we use mantras for their sound quality, it might be helpful for you to know Ma represents divine love or pure love, and Om represents pure light or divine light. Simply paying attention to the sound of the mantra. Ma on the inhale, Om on the exhale. There's no particular sensation you should be having other than the one you're having. And it's important not to try to have a certain experience. Simply and innocently repeating this mantra, tuning into the sound of it. Ma, Om. There's no particular speed or rhythm. Simply innocently repeating this mantra with your breath, like you're listening to an internal chant. We'll be doing this practice for a few minutes. I'll keep track of the time. Ma, Om. You're doing it correctly as long as you're not trying too hard. And you keep coming back to the mantra as it interrupts the constant flow of thoughts. And keeping your eyes closed, stop repeating the mantra and simply sit in open awareness. And now we'll begin the soul awakening prayer. There are 6 lines to the prayer, which you might see on your screen, but I'll repeat them. We'll do this practice 4 times. And each time we invite the prayer, we'll focus the attention on someone or others that are, or yourself, and I'll guide you through this. So the first prayer will be towards yourself. Soul awakening. Simply repeat the lines silently after me. heart opening, light shining, love flowing, wounds dissolving, peace radiating. And we'll repeat these lines again. And this time, offering this same blessing to people that are around you, whether they're here on this call with you or they're in the room with you, even the animals that might be by your feet. Soul awakening. Heart opening. Light shining. Love flowing. Wounds dissolving. Peace radiating. This next time through, we'll offer this blessing to all of your connections, your relations, your neighbors, your community, and I'll leave more space between each. Soul awakening. Heart opening. Light shining. Love flowing. Wounds dissolving. Peace radiating. And we'll do this one more time for everyone, everywhere, every sentient being, whether you know them or not. Just imagine this prayer reaching everyone, the unseen, the unheard, those who are not free, as well as those struggling to make each day matter, struggling to maintain a good attitude, a prayerful heart. Soul awakening. Heart opening. Light shining. Love flowing. Wounds dissolving. Peace radiating. We'll repeat these lines one more time and simply invite the possibility of each and every one of us, including you, having this direct experience of awakening. See, feel, or imagine it, that each one of us has this opportunity. Soul awakening. Heart opening. Light shining. Love flowing. Wounds dissolving. Peace radiating. Let's sit together in silence for another minute or so, in open awareness, in prayer, whatever feels appropriate. So keeping your eyes closed, tuning in to how you're feeling, witnessing the activity of the mind and the senses. Deepening your breath if you like. And when you feel like you'd like to open your eyes to come out of meditation slowly, I invite you to do that, but there's no rush. You might first start with a downward gaze and then open your eyes all the way. I'll repeat the lines of this prayer. And I like to choose one of these lines to work with for the day. I invite you to do the same. Soul awakening. Heart opening. Light shining. Love flowing. Wounds dissolving. Peace radiating. So thank you for joining me in the practice today. I love to think of all of us having the opportunity to be whole and radiating peace and to have love flowing in and out and to have our wounds dissolving and to be in touch deeply with that transcendent love that lives through you as you and recognizing it in everyone else. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but that's my prayer for you. That's my prayer for myself. I'd love to hear how you are and what you're choosing for today. You can have all of the above also. How are you feeling? Would you like to share? I know we're muted. Actually, maybe we'll stop the recording. Thanks for being with us.